Are you struggling to maintain social media shops on networks like Facebook or TikTok? Do you wish that your e-commerce platform is better equipped to support and amplify your marketing initiatives? And wouldn't it be great if we could automate some of those activities, sync products across platforms, and amplify our reach beyond our own social channels? That's what we're covering in today's episode of the MarTech Show.
The past is gone. Now's the future.
This is the MarTech Show, exploring today's marketing technology solutions. Social media, artificial intelligence, augmented reality,
Now's the future.
content, SEO, email, analytics, listening, advertising, and more. I'm your host, Mike Allton, and I'm joined by agency owner and technology futurist Robin Dimond. Each episode explores the latest developments in marketing technology and shares new solutions and innovative approaches that you need to know about to grow your business today. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to the MarTech Show, where Robin and I get to dish on what's shiny and new in the MarTech space, then do a deep dive into a specific platform or solution that can help you and your business today. Now, Robin's on the road this week, but she'll be back in the studio with me for our next episode. And we've got a great show for you today, folks, with a special guest from BigCommerce and some AI news. And there's a story from TechCrunch that I want to share with you. And it's about NVIDIA, the manufacturer that's powering the majority of servers running artificial intelligence systems and their requisite graphics processing units. And they've got a new chatbot for your own computer. It's dubbed Chat with RTX, and the tool allows you to create this generative AI model along the lines of OpenAI's ChatGPT by connecting it with your offline files and data sources. Essentially, this gives you an AI-powered search for your own computer and all the documents, chats, and other potential sources that you've created. Imagine being able to simply ask your computer for a document you created years ago, or for a piece of information that was mentioned in a chat conversation, without having to go hunting for that information. While this is currently limited to PCs running NVIDIA's hardware, it's easy to imagine this level of AI assistance coming to all of our devices rapidly. Now, speaking of AI assistants, in our last episode, we talked a lot about how social media managers for large retail and e-commerce brands often struggle with the need to create a lot of video content to keep their social channels active, and how Pictory's AI video can help them. But that's not the only challenge facing us when it comes to marketing for e-commerce. Wrangling search engine traffic, making sure product listings are synced with social network shops, even understanding what social shops are available, how they're different, and how best to leverage them. These are the plates we have to keep spinning as marketers. It'd be great if there were tools and platforms that could help us. And that's exactly what Jessica Williamson is going to talk to us about. Jessica works strategically with agencies to help them understand and work with the BigCommerce team to help their merchants be as successful as possible on the platform, and one of the leading open SaaS e-commerce platforms out there for D2C, B2B, and high-risk merchants. She's been with the company for years, working first in sales, then on the agency team, and now she's here to help us power up our e-commerce marketing. Jessica, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hello, hello. Thanks so much for having me. I am wonderful. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. So, Jessica, let's start by reviewing what BigCommerce is and the
Absolutely.
kinds of brands that you typically work with.
Yeah, so BigCommerce, like I said, or like Mike said, we're the leading open SaaS e-commerce platform. So we work with mom and pop shops that are, I always like to say, that are selling paper clips out of their garage, all the way up to multi-billion dollar companies, whether it's direct to consumer or B2B merchants. BigCommerce is an e-commerce platform that can house it all for y'all.
Fantastic. Now, I know a lot of agencies are actually using BigCommerce to support their clients'
Mhm.
e-commerce initiatives. How does BigCommerce exactly work with agencies, and what is that model?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say that the agency world is a position that I never knew existed, and I'm so happy to be a part of. So, with BigCommerce, we take a really hand in hand approach with our agency partners. So, as a channel account manager, I work in the Southeast with agencies between the size of about 11 to 50 employees. And my job is to actually help train them on the platform. You have a full team at BigCommerce when you are a partner of ours. You have me, You have a solutions engineer to help with technical questions, an enablement manager to help train you on the platform and help you understand how to work best with BigCommerce, and a marketing manager that actually helps you put BigCommerce and your agency's name out in the world together. And so we work very hand in hand. If you have a client that, as an agency, if you have a client that is wanting to come to BigCommerce, we act it like it is your baby, and we want to make sure that we are providing the best solution for them. And ideally, it is BigCommerce or Feedonomics, and we can help you through that process to make sure from the first initial touch with BigCommerce all the way through implementation and onward into your success. We want to be with you every step of the way.
That's fantastic. So we've got a lot of agencies in our sphere of influence. We've got about 3,000 or so
Mhm.
that are actually GoRPulse customers and that sort of thing. And we're definitely going to want to introduce them and help them understand this is a
Yes,
really valuable platform that
absolutely.
they can be using to support their clients. And I'm glad you mentioned Feedonomics, as we want to get back to them in just a second. But when it comes to marketing, BigCommerce has this outsourced role to play for all of our agencies, customers, and the merchants that are watching today, starting with search. Can you share
Mhm.
a bit more about how BigCommerce actually helps attract traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of go into a little bit about how BigCommerce is built. So open SaaS, let's break that down right quick. So what that means is that the SaaS backend, we still take care of what I like to call the nitty gritty. So BigCommerce takes care of hosting, PCI compliance, security updates, all of that jazz. But our platform is actually still over 95% open for you to be able to customize the site the way that you want to. And so with that, we are an e-commerce platform and an e-commerce platform only. We partner with best of breed tech partners and solutions to be able to allow you to use what works best for your company. So obviously we built, in my mind, an amazing platform that already has a lot of built-in out of the box functionality for search and other things of that nature. But we also have a ton of apps in our marketplace that allow you to amplify what BigCommerce already does for you.
Can you give me a couple examples of what those apps might be?
Yeah, for example, Algolia or Clayvu, those are great search and merch apps that we partner with and that are on our tech partnership side. We've done events with them. And if it's in our app marketplace, it's actually vetted. So we want to make sure that if it's in our app marketplace and we're allowing our merchants to use it, it's a good app and actually works well with our platform.
That's a really good point
Mhm,
because I've worked with other brands, not in a partnership, just like as a customer, right? And they might have a big marketplace of apps that pretty much just anybody who wants to can join their marketplace. They're not
mhm.
vetted, which means there's no quality control in terms of how they actually interact with this. And in this case, we're talking about a platform in BigCommerce where you've got sensitive, private customer data
Mhm.
flowing. And it's really important that you don't allow just any old app to come in and have access to that information.
Exactly. We take security very seriously at BigCommerce. And we also, I'm on the agency side, but there's also me's, right? Cams on the tech partner side as well. So for some of those premier preferred app partnerships that we have, there is a channel account manager on that side to help make sure that the app is moving smoothly as well for our merchants.
Awesome, awesome. Now, earlier you mentioned Feedonomics, and I don't want this to be a plug for Feedonomics because I know that's a different company, but at the same time, they do some
Yes.
really cool things that I think our agency audience would understand and appreciate not only what they do, but how that connects with and supports each other with BigCommerce. Tell us about Feedonomics.
Yeah, absolutely. So BigCommerce actually acquired Feedonomics at the end of 2021, I believe. I feel like my perception of time is all over the place now
Oh
after
gosh, yeah.
COVID, right? But Feedonomics is one of the leading managed feed management systems. So what Feedonomics does, and like I said, I work for BigCommerce. I work with Feedonomics. I'm not a Feedonomics spokesperson, so I'm going to really like bring it all the way down and make it super simple. So what Feedonomics does is it takes your product information from wherever it is housed, whether it's an ERP, an IMS, an e-commerce platform, and it does not have to be a BigCommerce e-commerce platform. It can be Shopify or Magento or wherever your products are housed. And they clean it up, they optimize them, and they send them out to the ad channel and marketplaces that you want your products to be in. So obviously, if you're selling if you're selling glasses, you might not want them in like a sports and outdoors store, right? You get to choose where you want your products to go to where your clients are already shopping. So for me, I love pink. Anything pink, I'm probably going to click on it. So if you're selling pink pants, put it on Instagram because I will see that. Feedonomics can actually help you do that. Feedonomics doesn't create the content, but what it does is it optimizes the content so that way your products are showing up first or second in when people are searching for it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And if you're
Yeah.
listening to the podcast after the fact, you should know that we filmed this on Valentine's Day, and
Yes.
Jessica's wearing pink socks with her doggy on it. So
Yes.
truly, if you want to sell something to Jessica, put her dog's face on it, make it pink, she will buy it.
I'm there. I'm there. Absolutely.
If you're
And I
just
also
tuning in, we're talking. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I also think that you really have to what Feedonomics does to sell through the marketplaces is so important because I feel like no one's really searching the internet anymore for what they're shopping for. They're searching through Pinterest, through Instagram, through Facebook. I know I am, my generation is. And so the algorithm on my Instagram is just so dialed in that it is showing me such amazing products that I'm now getting introduced to new storefronts that I've never heard of before. But because they're selling through ad channels or they are using Instagram as an ad channel or a marketplace, I am now being introduced to them. So it's another way to attract more people to your site or to your brand is through those marketplaces and ad channels.
Such an important point that I hope you
Mhm.
guys listening catch on to that, because we're talking about BigCommerce and we're talking about integrating it with Feedonomics so that we've got really informed data coming in and allows us to better leverage those kinds of channels like Instagram. Because you're 100% right, Jessica. People are making purchases on these platforms, on
Mhm.
Instagram shopping, on TikTok shop. They weren't there
Yes.
with intent, and yet the dollars are there, the sales are happening. So great point. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to emphasize that you do not have to be on BigCommerce to utilize Feedonomics. That is a huge
Awesome.
thing. We want everyone to be able to, no matter what platform they're on or ERP they're using, we want y'all to be able to sell through marketplaces because it's imperative now to be successful and to be able to grow your business. You need to be selling through marketplaces and ad channels to be able to get those new customers to your brand.
And if you guys are wondering exactly how you get started on some of these channels, I'll give you a sneak peek right now that on March 14th, we're having an entire retail marketing summit specifically for social media managers and community managers. There'll be entire sessions there on vertical video, on TikTok shops. TikTok will literally be there helping us to understand how to better use their platform. Jen Herman will be talking about Instagram for retail marketing. Mari Smith will be there talking about Facebook for retail marketing. So watch out for that show. We will definitely email you an invite next week so that you can come sign up for that show. But meanwhile, I'd like to share with you a little story. It is Valentine's Day, after all, about how a lovely retail company uses Agorapulse to help with their marketing.
Love Pop Cards is a 3D greeting card company, and we are about 5 years old, and we are based in the idea of creating magical moments. And so our company's mission is to create 1 billion magical moments. So I am the Director of Customer Happiness, which means I'm responsible for sort of being the voice of Love Pop to our customers, and then also being the voice of our customers within Love Pop. So it goes in both directions. So before we transitioned to Agorapulse, one of the things that was really difficult for us was that we had a high volume of ads where customers were commenting and wanted to interact with us or wanted to tell us what they thought of the products they're advertising. And we had a limited number of licenses for our social media monitoring tool. And so we were unable to keep up with the inbox, and the inbox was actually unable to keep up with the volume of ads we were running. And so we both weren't getting all the comments that were being added to all these ads, and we couldn't reply to what we were getting anyway. So when we moved over to Agorapulse and we got to the point where we had an inbox that captured direct messages, it captured the listening, and we were able to pull in the ad comments in the same place. We could use it just like we would use any other inbox, like in our ticketing system. It's really changed our ability to follow up with customers and make sure we're being responsive and interacting with them when they want. Also, a little hidden feature that I love is that you can see the history of any customer's comments with us. So sometimes we'll get a comment and we're not exactly sure either if they were talking to us earlier or if this is somebody who has been giving us a hard time for a while. And you can just click on them and see their profile and get an idea for how they've interacted with us over time.
I just love her title of Director of Customer Happiness.
I love that. I think we
So
need more of those.
yeah, 100%. We all need more customer happiness in our lives,
Yes.
whether we're the customer or we're talking to our customers, right? But
Mhm.
we were talking a little bit about those social shops, and I'd like you to share a little bit more about how BigCommerce helps support those. We've got them on Instagram shops, TikTok shops, that sort of thing. How does BigCommerce help us support those?
Yeah, so BigCommerce does a really great job, like I said, of being open. So we do have native apps that can connect you to different marketplaces. We are also built on a REST API, so you're able to connect those marketplaces through APIs if you're savvy enough to do that as well. But we really utilize Feedonomics a lot for this. Feedonomics is the best out there in my opinion, so why not use use the best? But Feedonomics does a really great job of doing a feed audit of your merchants' feeds and actually grades them on how great they're doing out there, gives you this information, and can also consult with you on, hey, you're not on Instagram, but this product would do absolutely incredible on Instagram, and actually take more of a consultative approach of, you're doing Amazon, you're doing Walmart, you're doing Target. What about eBay, Instagram, and TikTok? And so it's much more of a solution selling of, Phenomics is going to be a great product for you, but how can we really use the most from this platform to help you make more money? So, BigCommerce, we're very open. You can use Feedonomics, you can use Cadisto, you can use other apps that are just like directly into one marketplace. But with Feedonomics, you're able to do that, do more of a solution side of it, figure out the right places for your products to be, and they can actually push it for you.
Let me just make sure we underline this and make sure I understand it correctly. So you've got as an e-commerce shop, you've got all your products on BigCommerce, and we
Mhm,
can push them out to like a TikTok shop and that sort of
mhm.
thing. But you're talking about general marketplaces, and you kind of mentioned a couple big ones,
Yeah.
Amazon, eBay. So you're saying that this one site's going to power all these marketplaces at the same time?
Exactly. So with Feedonomics, what you're able to do is each marketplace has different requirements for your products to be seen. So one, Feedonomics knows all of those rules. So you don't, as an agency, you don't have to worry about the rules and breaking them and making sure that it's fully optimized. Feedonomics understands for, it's going to be different for Amazon, for Google Shopping, for Instagram. They understand that. You pick the marketplaces or ad channels that you want your products to be in. You send your product data to Feedonomics. They optimize it for each marketplace and each ad channel. So you don't have to worry about it. You send them the information, all of the information. We want to make sure we have accurate information to send, and Feedonomics takes care of the rest.
That's fantastic
Mhm.
because the folks listening are mostly social media managers, community managers, some agency owners, and so that kind of stuff. But they're going to be tasked with promoting these products. So if they're on Facebook, they're going to want to be able to tag the product
Mhm.
that's in the Facebook shop. If they're on
Mhm.
Instagram, they're going to be able to tag the product that's in the Instagram shop.
Yep.
And if those of you weren't in last week's episode with Mark from Pictory, Pictory is uniquely positioned to help you create some really great video content that you can use to promote these. So both of these episodes are designed to really help you promote and talk about your products and your solutions at
Mhm.
scale.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's incredible because as an agency, I work with a lot of agencies, and some of my agency partners are like, well, is Feedonomics taking my job, right? Like, aren't we the ones that are supposed to be pushing it? And that's not the case. What Feedonomics does is takes the content that you create. The agency and or the merchant, if you are doing it all on your own, is still creating the story and the content that you are wanting your clients to see, your customers to see. What Feedonomics does is making sure it is fully optimized for each channel so your customers can see the beautiful story that you've created.
That's such a great point because that's exactly what we would want
Mhm.
our users to be able to focus on. If they want to create a campaign on TikTok, you need to be focused on what's the story, what's the
Right.
point, who are we talking to, what are the creatives, and not have to worry about making sure that the products are there and all lined up in the
And
TikTok shop
optimize.
so that they can tag them. They don't have to
Yep.
worry about that. That's being handled for them. You can focus on, creating a great vertical video that's going to speak to your target audience, and then you tag your products accordingly when you need
Yes.
to.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. So talk to us about what's coming up next. I always like
Mhm.
asking us this kind of question because I know it gets them in a little bit of trouble back home, but I don't want you to worry about that. Don't worry about your they're not on this, they're not watching. What's coming this year with BigCommerce, particularly from like an e-commerce marketing perspective, that we can get excited about?
Absolutely. And I had a feeling this question was going to be asked, so I did cover my bases with with my managers on this. So if y'all are listening, hey, but BigCommerce actually just announced about acquiring our acquisition of Catalyst and MakeSwift. So Catalyst is very unique because it is a headless architecture. So ideally, it's never been easier to build a headless e-commerce store because now we have the architecture to allow you to do it, right? We are showing you step by step how to have a beautiful headless site and the architecture of it. And so with that, and for those that don't know what headless is, headless means that you're still using the back end of your e-commerce site. You're using the back end of BigCommerce, all of the nitty-gritty stuff that I talked about earlier, but you are attaching, if you're watching this, you're attaching a beautiful CMS or a front-end experience to your site. So it's much more custom feel, and it's not just out of the box what BigCommerce does, which you're still able to do it with BigCommerce. But Catalyst allows you to have the architecture to build a headless site the way that you want in an easy way. We also announced our acquisition of MakeSwift, which is a composable page builder that is built by marketers. So there's no code in this. You're able to drag and drop and make a beautiful website very easily because marketers are the ones that created it for other marketers. So you don't have to have development work. You don't have to have coding background. It makes it easy to tell the story on your website as a marketer instead of having to think as a developer.
That is so interesting. I just put a link to MakeSwift in particular
Yes.
in the comments because I really enjoyed how you described that. I think that's going to be super beneficial to
Yes.
folks.
And as you can tell, I'm not technical, right? So if you haven't been able to tell this whole time, I'm not technical, but with MakeSwift, it is so easy to create a beautiful front end experience, and you're able to use MakeSwift with Catalyst.
But you are the blonde in tech.
I am the blonde in tech. Yes, that is true. I'm just not the technical blonde in tech.
Right? So, Jessica, you've been amazing. This has been such a fun and an informational interview. Let folks know where they can find you. Talk about the Blonde in Tech. Talk about your podcast. Let them know.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me at Jessica Williamson on LinkedIn. Please connect, message, all of that jazz. But I actually this year just launched a new podcast called The Blonde in Tech. It's streaming now on Spotify and YouTube. And really, this podcast is to help those wanting to get into the tech industry learn a little bit more about the industry. Coming out of college, all I knew was to be an SDR and then to be an AE. And there's so much more out there than that. And so my dog just found a squeaky toy, so I'm so sorry if you can hear that. But the real goal of this podcast is to help whether you're coming out of college or whether you're in a specific industry that you don't want to be a part of anymore and you want to learn more about the tech industry, it's to break down those barriers and give you the tools to understand what's out there, how to get into the tech industry. And also I interview a ton of entrepreneurs and agency owners to help get the juices flowing of other things that are out there for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much. We'll have the links to where you can find her and her podcast in the show notes. And that's all we've got for today, friends. Don't forget to join the after show discussion within the Social Pulse community on Facebook, where you can learn more from today's guest. You can continue the conversation with other attendees and even win prizes. We'll be back live on February 28th with Casey Hill of Active Campaign, talking about how to build newsletters that actually generate revenue. Until next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of the MarTech Show, hosted by Robin Dimond and Mike Allton, powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you want to make sure you're part of our audience during live weekly broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar, or click the subscribe button in your email once you register for any of these events. Is there a particular tool or topic you'd like to see us talk about? Or perhaps you think your solution should be featured? Email me at mike@agorapulse.com.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.